Giants and the Bears meeting with winning records. Both teams, let's just clarify here, first time that's happened since 2006. New York seeking its first win against Chicago since 2018 and rocking the throwbacks. I mean, make them the everydays. They're fantastic. So was Daniel Jones early. Second Giants drive, Jones fakes the handoff and scampers in for the score. Nothing but green grass in front of him and a nice blocker out front. Giants' first half touchdown of the season. Following a Justin Fields fumble, 3rd and 9 from Bears 27, Saquon making something out of nothing, avoids a couple tackles, switches direction, first down, and a nice block by number 8 on this one as well. Barkley finished with a $162 all-purpose. 2 plays later, do not adjust your television sets. Daniel Jones again on the bootleg with nobody in front of him. In-game adjustments, Bears, anybody? Anybody? Giants up 14-6. They go into the break up 14-9, but then a concerning moment here as Jones gets taken down awkwardly, his legs tangled up there under the defender, and Saquon Brisker was the defender there, and he's getting spatted big time was Jones, but here comes his backup, Tyrod Taylor, in to replace him mid-4th quarter, 17-12 game. Taylor buying time off the left side, going to take it himself for the first down, but he's going to head to the medical tent. Head-to-head collision there. Kyler Gordon got a big piece of him. So later in this game, Giants up 20-12. A punt late in this one, just over 2 minutes late to go. The Scottish Hammer kicks a slippery one as Velus Jones Jr., the rookie, can't handle it. And Gary Brightwell falls on it. Giants take the ball back, and that's going to be all she wrote. The hair bouncing but behaving. Big play from the big leg as Giants improved to 3-1. It's their best start to a season since 2011. They did win the Super Bowl that season. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it's looking better than many expected. 3-1 on the season with a 20-12 win over the Bears. Also snaps a 3-game winning streak for the Bears against these Giants. Bears did have a chance after a Graham Gano field goal. Had a play with no time left. It was a crazy amount of laterals. We're up against it here time-wise, so we can't show you it, but never came close to the end zone. Did look productive, which is not something that can be said for this Bears offense throughout the year. Injury note here, after Taylor left the game with his head injury, Jones did come back in for the rest of the game, but was clearly limited. A strictly run game here for the Giants, so it's something to keep an eye on in the quarterback room for New York. All right, here's a look at Saquon Barkley, who's putting this Giants front office in a bit of a predicament, and it's a good one. You're going to give him a deal? You're going to trade him? You can't let him walk for nothing because he's been the most productive back this season. And when you take a look at rush yards through 4 games in Giants history, nobody's been better. 463 on the ground for Saquon in a contract year. All right, let's pick apart Bears-Giants with our guys, Tyler Sullivan and Ryan Wilson. Guys, by rule, barring a tie, one of these teams did have to end the day 3-1. Ryan Wilson, how hollow does that 3-1 feel for the Giants?
Let me tell you, Joe, all the highlights you're going through, I'm so glad we're talking about Giants-Bears. My dreams are coming true in real time. Here's the thing. So I'm watching that game on my 3rd screen, so every once in a while I'll look over there, and it felt to me, and you can tell me if I'm right or not, that the Giants thoroughly outplayed the Bears, but the game was close throughout. And you went through the highlight, and you mentioned 3 rookies for the Bears. Their top 3 picks, by the way. Brisker balled out. Kyler Gordon balled out, and then you saw Velus Jones, who hasn't played a lot this year, muff that fumble at the end of the game. That certainly played in the outcome. But if you're the Giants, look, you will take wins any way you can get them. Brian Daboll has instituted changes. It feels like it starts at the top in terms of how that culture is in that locker room. Daniel Jones toughed it out at the end there. We saw Saquon Barkley taking snaps in the Wildcat. Things were so dire at the quarterback position, and the Bears still had no answers. And I'll just end with this right here. Coming into this game, the Giants had 3 sacks. They had 5 sacks in the first half against Justin Fields, who I still don't know if he's a good quarterback or not because he continues to run for his life on virtually every snap. They have a lot of things to fix in Chicago. The Giants have a lot of things to fix as well, but guess what? As you noted, they have 3 wins right now.
Ryan, I'm glad you mentioned Saquon Barkley here because that's where I want to go with you, Tyler. What do the Giants do with Saquon Barkley right now? Through 4 weeks, he's been arguably the best back in the NFL in this contract year. Do you deal him? Do you sell high? Do you give him the deal and keep him in town? What are they going to do with Saquon here throughout the season?
It's always tricky with running backs too, because I almost lean to you don't want to invest too much. I mean, we see what happens in Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott making bank, and it just doesn't feel like that's really good value.
But if you
for the
can
Cowboys
get something for him, I'm sorry to cut you. If you can get something for him right now, is it a sell high opportunity in that front office? Who take a step back? Yes, you are 3-1, but what is the accomplishment? What is the goal this year?
Right. So that's the biggest question. It's how would a Saquon deal change that locker room of sorts? I mean, like you said, you are 3-1. You have a new head coach. The good vibes seem to be rolling. And the guy that is basically carrying you there to that record, like we were saying earlier, I mean, when these quarterbacks went down, he was taking snaps out of the Wildcat and still helping this team move the football. What happens when you deal that guy? Is the Brian Daboll structure, the foundation that is still being set strong enough to withstand that type of a clear sign that, hey, listen, we're kind of a transitioning team. As much as the record may say that we're in this, we're moving on. And that's really going to be a determination for the front office to do and to say, okay, is this a guy that we feel like we can build around for the next few years? Do we feel like we're in this? Do we feel like we can maybe go crazy here over the next couple of months and get ourselves into that bottom tier playoff fringe kind of conversation, and maybe that's why you keep Saquon Barkley around? It's a tricky spot. I wouldn't necessarily do anything right now. I would not trade him in season because you can always franchise him and move him in that type of a deal in the offseason. So for me, it's hang on to him and see how this season plays out. They need to get off to this good start to this season because you look at the next couple of games here at Green Bay versus the Ravens, and then you go to Jacksonville, which is no small task now that we're seeing what they're doing with Doug Peterson. So good to get them at this 3-1 record, but if all of a sudden you're starting to look at 500 next few weeks, maybe you do have that conversation of what you do with Saquon Barkley.
I think you sort of touched on it at the end there, Sully. You franchise him. That's all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about any long-term deal. He can be angry about it, and that's certainly his prerogative and his right. But if you're the Giants, and as you noted, there doesn't make a lot of sense in today's football to pay these running backs huge number, big money contracts. He is incredibly important to what this offense is right now. So I don't think under any circumstances up until the trade deadline do you think about moving him, because then that offense looks completely different. And by the way, Joe, I know you're wondering, Giants going to have probably a top 15-ish pick, depending on how the season ends. My mock draft version 2.0 comes out tomorrow. Have some things they could do there. I mean, maybe quarterback if Daniel Jones isn't the guy who's had a really good season thus far. Maybe Bijan Robinson if you're looking for a running back, which would be absolutely crazy in a post-Dave Gettleman world. But I think you stay put right now with Saquon. He's their best player on offense.
All right, let's take a look at how good he was here from the fantasy standpoint. And Saquon, I mean, Ryan Wilson calls him a feature of this offense, a big part of it. He is this offense right now. $146, 2 receptions for 16 yards, and a little bit of shake and bake in the screen game. 17 fantasy points for you as he does not get to pay dirt in this one. Daniel Jones did by foot twice, and that's why you're looking at 20 next to his name. Really the only asset on the Bears that proves to be productive with David Montgomery sidelined is Khalil Herbert, his 10 fantasy points, although Darnell Mooney did see his most exposure yet this season. More highlights when we return on HQ.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.